Yes, sir. We are back. Another round of the NBA Finals. This is your guy, Marcellus Ease. And the Pacers, for the first time ever, dropped 2 games in a row in these playoffs, as the duo of Jalen Williams and SGA had their second breakout game under pressure. I know the stats would say for JDub, this is his first breakout game, but on the road previously being down 2-1, JDub in game 4 with the Oklahoma City offense being so stagnant kept them in it, while SGA played magnificent defense and then came up big time in the fourth quarter, dropping over 15 points. So in this segment, there were a lot of nuances in game 5. Chet Holmgren won his battle going up against Miles Turner with the offensive rebounds, and the Thunder as a team forced so many turnovers for the Pacers that they overcame the onslaught of the Pacers bench unit, just dropping 43 points in this game. In this series so far, both teams have had their ups and downs, but they each have their own way of countering with the amount of players that can impact this game, just going all the way down into their bench. And that's what makes this a compelling NBA Finals. But hey, I'm not going to say no more. Let's just get to it.
Congratulations, the most dominant.
You take that jersey and put your own jersey on, man.
About time now?
Yeah.
1-2.
Baddest duo ever, Superman and Batman.
3 rings. Can't do it, man. It's too much. Can't sum it up. Can't put it in words. You just have to watch and observe.
So this turned out to be one of those games where SGA just got into his playmaking bag. He by himself almost had the same amount of assists that the Oklahoma City Thunder had as a team in game 4. But one thing in this series that somewhat went under the radar a little bit, with Isaiah Hartenstein in some of the games is starting, then he's not starting the third quarter, but his passing ability and some of the ball movement he brings to this Thunder's offense when SGA or just JDub is on the bench, it really can't get overlooked. Here's a perfect example of it right here. Remember, OKC at this point with SGA on the bench, they don't have too many ball handlers outside of JDub. But this is where Hartenstein kind of brings in some of his unique playmaking. I got to say, both teams were not letting each other score in transition. This is nice transition defense by the Pacers. But again, Hartenstein, his head is always on a swivel. Always looking to make the right plays. Hartenstein's offensive rebounding was off the charts. But just like Russell Westbrook in the paint, you know, guys got to be ready. Wiggins right here. He's not going to be ready for this pass. It's almost Westbrook-like. But again, this fits perfectly with a lot of the guys that are not necessarily shooters that are on the floor. They can make their cuts, and Hartenstein is consistently looking to move the ball, whether he's doing a dribble handoff or he's involved in the pick and roll. He tends to make the right decisions as that roll man. And we're seeing why the Thunder elected to go back to their big lineup in game 4 as well as game 5. Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet completely dominated the boards, grabbing so many offensive rebounds, and that contributed to the Thunder getting so many second chance points. This gets interesting because in the matchup between Chet Holmgren and Miles Turner, Chet actually won this round once again due to a lot of the intangibles. The offensive rebounding, getting on the glass, being able to stick with the Pacers' perimeter defenders. That's something that's real important because Miles Turner, on the other hand, he's been getting taken advantage of by SGA on those pick and rolls, especially when the Thunder start doing these high ball screens very early in transition. Check out Hartenstein right here. Setting his high ball screen. Let's replace Pascal for Turner. By the time SGA comes downhill, he has so much open space to operate in. And Turner struggles to keep up with him. Right here. Here's another example here. Once again, this time involving Miles Turner. See Hartenstein roll early, sets these high ball screens. Now Turner is involved. SGA is going to come right downhill. See Turner completely lost. What he's been doing throughout this series is trying to guess which way SGA is going, because he's not able to keep up moving from side to side. Here it is one more time, this time involving Aaron Wiggins. You see Turner as he comes up, he's trying to guess which way is Wiggins going. See the space. He's very vulnerable. He's completely taken out of the play. But he had a great contest there. It's something about him getting there at the last second. These tend to be very close to a goaltend every single time. But Turner in this series, is something about him just missing all these wide open threes and not necessarily being able to take advantage of his mismatch often enough. He really is probably the top guy with the most favorable matchup. He could just body everybody in the post. He's much bigger than Chet. When Hartenstein is not on the floor and the Thunder go small, he could completely dominate. But throughout this series so far, we have not really seen him assert himself as much. And a lot of the Pacers fans are still waiting for that breakout game. And even if it doesn't come on the offensive end, it's a lot of the intangibles, the spacing that he provides if that three-point shot starts falling, the defensive intangibles, and also the rebounding. That has been an issue in games 4 and 5. Can't let Chet out-rebound you and also get more blocks with a much skinnier frame. Now for Tyrese Haliburton, he was almost non-existent in this game. And you wonder if this re-injury right here to his right leg is really the issue, because he scored his first points of the game in the third quarter, and the signs were there throughout the matchup. Early on, he passed up a couple of shots. Other players outside of him in the starting unit kept on having a lot of bad turnovers. We've seen Nembhard do a lot of the point guard responsibilities, and that had a trickle-down effect as the Pacers finished the game with 23 turnovers, and the Thunder was able to capitalize off of that, scoring 32 points. And I'm not going to lie, some of these half-ass screens Miles Turner was setting, and just him not even being a threat on the pop-out or even as a roll man, was forcing Tyrese almost on one leg to make some awkward-ass passes. And I'm not going to lie, some of these screens that Miles Turner has been giving Tyrese on one leg, just him ducking them, just ghosting the screen too early and not even a threat on the pop-out, just put them in a conundrum. See, he kind of ghosted too early on Dort, and he's not really a threat on the roll. And Tyrese is on one leg. Like, he's forcing up some really tough, awkward passes. For example, with Tyrese struggling to get separation on that one leg, he needs a real solid screen. See, when Tony Allen was in there, he kind of set those to help him get that separation. But Miles Turner, on the other hand, as we see right here, he's kind of more throwing these kind of half-ass screens. See, Dort is getting over on these. Same thing for Caruso. And he's not really a threat. You see, if you're not going to be a threat on the roll or even on the pop-out, then there's no reason for him to be throwing these type of half-ass screens. I mean, his body's not even planted and standing correctly to fully plant on Dort. Remember, Tyrese is on one leg. I wonder if Turner kept this in mind. Like, he's got to be dominant right here going to the rack. It's hard to tell if Tyrese was just a decoy in this game. See, he passes up this open shot right here. And just right into Pascal. And see, this is not Pascal's game right here. And this was another issue in this very game. Pascal Siakam has been A1 in this series, by far the Pacers' most consistent player. But in this very game, he's had uncharacteristically so many turnovers. And that's really because of Tyrese's limitations. You see, they can't run all those actions where Tyrese is moving so much off ball, side to side. You know, with his right leg issue, they can't quite get into that bag. So now guys like Pascal on the catch, there might be a swarm of OKC Thunder players just coming at him. And he's not necessarily the 1v1 guy that can consistently take plays off the dribble and create for his own. And that's why the Pacers have so many turnovers. Now you got to rely on Mathurin coming off the bench, trying to play make, TJ McConnell, Nembhard. Tyrese is the main ingredient that makes this whole thing work. Guys kind of feed off the open spacing and the easier shots that he kind of generates from just being out there on the floor and being involved in all those actions. What really kept the Pacers in this game was the fact that their bench was able to drop 42 points. TJ McConnell and Obi Toppin really just taking over in that third quarter. McConnell had 15 points in 16 minutes, which the Pacers bench unit has been unreal completely in this year's playoffs. I mean, Mathurin would come out of nowhere, then it would be TJ one game, then it would be Obi Toppin, and then you have Ben Shepherd from time to time hitting some big time three-point shots. And this is why sometimes it's a conundrum for the NBA media to understand how the Pacers are this good, because even if just a few starters are not having productive games, they're easily going to make up for that with 1 or 2 or 3 guys in their bench unit. And this has been consistent throughout these whole finals. And speaking of the consistency, the star duo of JDub and SGA in this game, just a combination of 71 points, and not everything just was about scoring. They both played a lot of defense as well as playmaking from SGA specifically. He alone almost had the same amount of assists that the Oklahoma City Thunder had in Game 4 as a team. And Jalen Williams, how he scored his 40 points was very efficient. A lot of off-ball movement. He was 14 of 25 from the field, shooting over 56%. And he by himself was able to get to the free throw line almost as many times as the Indiana Pacers did as a team. But check him out right here, moving off ball, using the slight hesitation from Naismith, as Isaiah Hartenstein for a second looked like it was going to be a dribble handoff. But him being a threat as a passer, he's just going to utilize him right here perfectly. Here's some more of that off-ball movement. This time check out JDub backdooring Tyrese Haliburton. This is where everything begins to tie in when we spoke about earlier with Isaiah Hartenstein being able to be a big man that can handle the ball as a roller and also make quick decisions, not stagnate the offense. He's just another additional person outside of SGA and JDub that can make that happen. And that's why I'm always stating the hard times are a good thing. You see, when OKC had lost to the Mavs last season, it put things into proper perspective. What they needed, some more perimeter defenders like the addition of Caruso, and also another big man in the paint to help out with that rebounding, also setting screens, and a bonus is Isaiah Hartenstein's passing. Fast forward a year later, now we're in the finals. We see everything culminate together and has resulted in a perfect unison, and it's continuing to bear plenty of fruits. SGA in this game, as well as Game 4, was able to exert a lot of energy on the defensive end, as well as to getting into his playmaking bag. And JDub, almost very similar to Jimmy Butler. He plays great defense, and the way he was getting his buckets in this game was almost in a way conserving a lot of energy. The backdoor cuts, attacking the rim, getting to the free throw line. It's very Dwayne Wade and Jimmy Butler-ish. That's a new phrase right there, but it definitely is. You barely see these guys take a lot of shots. Then you look up on the scoreboard and all of a sudden these guys have 30 plus points. I mean, right here, you can see the maturation. Look at the patience by JDub. Just completely gets over on Turner. Even under ball pressure, JDub was relentless. Look at Mathurin. He's all over him right here. But he still sticks with it and gets to the line. You see, people forgot. Last year, JDub had to do the same thing on the offensive end while guarding Kyrie Irving. See, they didn't have all those perimeter defenders. That Alex Caruso addition, with him starting certain, games in the NBA Finals above Isaiah Hartenstein, or just them putting Aaron Wiggins out there. You see, them going small is the confirmation of that. They have enough perimeter defenders out there not to, make sure that, JDub and SGA don't exert way too much energy on a defensive end. And that's something that hurt them going up against the Mavericks last season. So with Jalen Williams getting up to that 40 points, it's how he got it. Another score off of inbound right here. That's why I made my D Wade and Jimmy Butler analogy. Getting buckets from off-ball movement, also getting to the free throw line, finding a slight edge for him to conserve his energy. This really comes with time and experience. And we're seeing things come full circle for Jalen Williams as well as SGA in this series. It is what it is. Unfortunately, the Pacers were not able to capitalize off another great, consistent offensive performance by Pascal Siakam, and also their bench being able to drop over 40 points versus the Oklahoma City Thunder's 27. So another consistent bench performance by the Pacers offense. And, Game 5 sort of played out in a very similar way that Game 4 did. We've seen the Pacers kind of get back into their style of play where they're getting out in transition, and a lot of the ball pressure on the defensive end for them end up working out. But in Game 5, it was the reverse. OKC's defense was able to capitalize off a lot of those turnovers and executing and getting those transition points. They scored 32 points off of 23 turnovers. Very unfortunate for the Pacers. And the trickle-down effect from Tyrese Haliburton's leg injury. We've seen Nembhard have to handle the ball a little bit too much. Same thing for Pascal. He has to get a little bit more one-on-one action, taking guys off the ball. That's not necessarily his game. He can't really do that consistently. But both these teams have shown that they can make adjustments going from game to game. And it really may come down to just a few inches to see who's going to be the next NBA champion. So we'll see how it plays out. Until next time, you fellas, stay safe. Peace.